about the comparisons between he and I.
What happens when the greatest basketball player of all time finally admits who he hated the most? Why would Michael Jordan, a man defined by victory, grudges, and relentless competitiveness, open up about the enemies who pushed him to the edge? Was it personal beef? Was it on-court rivalry? Or was it pure jealousy? And what do these names tell us about Jordan's hunger, his pain, and the scars of a career that still haunt him? Let's begin. Number 1. Isiah Thomas. No name appears more frequently when discussing Jordan's hate list than Isiah Thomas, the leader of the Detroit Pistons' infamous Bad Boys. Jordan himself has admitted on multiple occasions that he could not stand Thomas, not only as a player but as a man. The Pistons tormented Jordan through the late 1980s, crafting the so-called Jordan rules, a defensive scheme designed to physically punish him every time he touched the ball. In interviews, Jordan recalled how the Pistons' strategy was not just about winning basketball but about breaking him mentally. He said, "I hated them. The hate carries even to this day." The bitterness deepened after the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, when Jordan's Bulls finally defeated Detroit, and Thomas famously walked off the court without shaking hands. Jordan never forgave him. Years later, in the Last Dance documentary, Jordan called him out again, saying, "You can show me anything you want. There's no way you can convince me he's not an asshole." For Jordan, this wasn't just basketball. It was betrayal, humiliation, and a man who represented everything Jordan despised in an opponent. At 50, when asked about grudges, Jordan still pointed to Isiah Thomas as a name that lingered in his memory, and fans knew this rivalry was more than just competition. It was war. Number 2. Reggie Miller. Jordan once described Reggie Miller as a player who could talk trash like nobody else. In a 1998 interview, Jordan laughed and admitted, "Reggie is the one guy I need to really psyche myself up for, because he can irritate the hell out of me." Their battles with the Indiana Pacers were legendary. Miller never backed down from Jordan and famously hit game-winning shots against him, which few dared to even attempt. But what Jordan truly hated was Miller's fearlessness and his mouth. Reggie knew how to get under Jordan's skin, sometimes mocking him, sometimes pushing him, and once even sparking a near-fight on the court. Jordan admitted he once told Miller, "You don't ever talk trash to Black Jesus." But Miller didn't care. For a man who thrived on intimidation, Jordan found Miller's refusal to be intimidated as a personal insult. At 50, Jordan reflected that Miller was one of the few who truly made him angry, not because he was dirty, but because he was bold. Miller forced Jordan to dig deeper into his own bag of tricks, and that kind of challenge wasn't just competitive. It was irritating to Jordan's very soul. Number 3. Clyde Drexler. On the surface, Jordan and Drexler had a level of respect. But Jordan hated being compared to him. During the 1992 NBA Finals, the media built the narrative of Drexler as Jordan's equal, the silky, smooth shooter who could match Jordan shot for shot. Jordan took it personally. In The Last Dance, he admitted, "Clyde was a threat, but me being compared to him, I took offense to that." Jordan destroyed Drexler and the Portland Trail Blazers in those finals, dropping 6 three-pointers in the first half of Game 1 and famously shrugging his shoulders as if to say, "Don't ever compare us again." For Jordan, Drexler represented something he despised: doubt. The idea that anyone could even share his throne. At 50, Jordan reflected on the players who bothered him, and while Drexler never carried the hate of Isiah Thomas, he symbolized the disrespect of being placed on the same pedestal. Jordan hated the comparison more than the man, and he used it as fuel to remind the world who he was. Number 4. Gary Payton. The glove was the rare defender who could actually make Jordan uncomfortable. During the 1996 NBA Finals, Payton's physical defense slowed Jordan down for a couple of games, and the Supersonics clawed their way back into the series. Jordan later laughed off the idea that Payton could stop him, but deep down, he hated the annoyance of a defender who never backed away. Payton was relentless, cocky, and unafraid of Jordan's aura. He trash-talked every possession, shoved his body into Jordan's chest, and played with the swagger of someone who thought he belonged. Jordan's competitiveness meant he hated anyone who dared to believe they could lock him down, and Payton was exactly that man. In The Last Dance, Jordan smirked when Payton suggested he wore him out. But the truth is, Jordan hated facing Payton because he made him work harder than almost anyone else. At 50, when reflecting on the defenders who gave him the most headaches, Payton's name always hovered near the top. And while Jordan might never admit true weakness, his irritation told the real story. Number 5. Patrick Ewing. Jordan and Ewing had a complicated relationship. They were friends off the court, but on it, Jordan admitted he took special pleasure in beating him. Jordan once said, "I always wanted to make sure Patrick never beat me in the playoffs." And he never did. The Bulls eliminated Ewing's Knicks 5 times in the 1990s, each series more brutal than the last. What Jordan hated wasn't Ewing personally, but the physical, bruising style of the Knicks. The constant fouls, the hard hits, the endless grind of facing New York's front line. Jordan knew Ewing was the heart of that team, and every battle felt like a war of attrition. Jordan respected Ewing, but he hated the fights, the bruises, and the endless nights of battling a man who refused to quit. At 50, Jordan acknowledged that Ewing was both a rival and a victim, but what made him hate those matchups was the toll they took on his body and his mind. The Knicks never broke him, but they pushed him closer to the edge than almost anyone else. And so, at 50, when Michael Jordan looked back on his career and the names that haunted him most, these 5 stood apart. Thomas, the symbol of betrayal. Miller, the fearless agitator. Drexler, the disrespectful comparison. Payton, the relentless defender. And Ewing, the warrior who made him bleed. Each one of them forced Jordan to confront something deeper within himself: anger, pride, vengeance, and survival. Jordan's greatness was not built on peace. It was built on hate. Hate for losing, hate for rivals, hate for anyone who dared to stand in his way. And that hate, even at 50, was still alive.